Hello, and welcome to another episode of Spinning Shadows. I'm your host, Jessica Patterson with Spinning Shadows Fiber Arts, and today I'm going to be talking about some of my spindle collection. I'm going to title this the 12 Spindles of Christmas. And I have here 12 plus some, and I'll start from right and move on through to the left. And we're starting with the Mayan spindle. This is a rather interesting spindle setup, and I really don't know that it can technically be called a spindle because it's actually a paddle on a handle. Okay, here we go. So this is how the Mayan spindle works. The fiber or yarn leader is wrapped around this wide part here. And in some videos it comes around this little notch here for spinning, and in some it's just kept on this paddle. Basically to create twist for your yarn. This is spun around like a helicopter. Another name for this spindle is the rake straw spindle. It is a type of spindle that I've seen used in a video that cowboys use this to spin horsehair, and they make it into ropes for their cinches and lassos and stuff. And it was a little bit narrower than this and hand carved, so it's an interesting simple setup, and it's actually not too bad if you're starting out. It's a little clumsy, I think, but really fun. I'm very prone to hitting myself with it, so I don't use it too often. Anyway, and let's see, next on the spindle list, there we go, is the Turkish spindle. And I will put links to these spindles down in the description. Some of them I don't remember where I got them from, but anyway, this one is pretty cool. I had to replace the shaft with a chopstick because the bag it was in got sat on and it snapped, but that's okay. This one's really cool in the arms, these cross arms, allow this spindle to spin very long, and when it's finished, you can you wrap the yarn around while you're spinning, like over two, under one. It creates a really cool ball, and you can take this entire setup off and take one of the arms out and then take the other arm out, and all you're left with is a ball. And some people fly from that ball. I usually make 2 balls and fly from that. And but this is a really cool, when it doesn't have any yarn on it, it's easy to pack. But when it does have yarn on it, it's not quite as easy to pack away. At least I don't think so. But it is very cool. Next on the list here, we have just a student top whorl drop spindle from the knit store on Etsy. These are good for just starting out. They're a good weight. They spin decent length of time. And this one I actually took and I painted. They're, with a little bit of work, they really take paint well. It just turned out so pretty, but I had to show what it looks like unfinished. So it's got a bit of a varnish on it, so I sanded off a bit of that in order to paint it. But these are good sturdy, and they're cheap. So for starting out, definitely recommend those. Next on the list is one of my favorites. This is a spindle whose name I cannot pronounce. It's like Tahkli or something like that. This is a Basque spindle. Now, I was not sure this thing would spin. It is so strange, but it is awesome. I have a video on my channel, which I'll link to, of this spinning. It's like the Turkish, this whorl here, this pops off, and when it's done, and so you end up with your yarn on this really handy bobbin. And this thing, unlike the Turkish, packs very small. I've been able to put this in a pocket with some fiber to go to spin on the go. It does spin a little bit slowly, so some care has to be taken if you're spinning a smaller thread like I do. But for just spinning small amounts of yarn, this is really perfect. This I bought from Muddy Duck Workshop on Etsy, and what I really love about it is this center shaft and the little bird's head that they have going on here. This is really well made. Next up, I have an Akka, if I'm pronouncing that right, from Straddle Creek Spins in the, I believe this is called the Radiance collection, the color. It's a purple, blue, and green, which I really like. This is from the Akka Hill Tribe in Asia, I think. Don't quote me on that, the design. But Straddle Creek Spins has taken this and they've made something really elegant, from the turned bottom all the way up to this beautiful wide and thin whorl to the hand turned hook here. Well, not hand turned, but hand bent. And it spins very fast. This is meant for spinning cotton, but it also works perfectly for spinning fine, from rollags, and I just think it's awesome to spin with. I actually made a sort of a flat paddle-shaped distaff to spin specifically with this spindle. It is rather fun to spin with. I hate dropping it though, because it is just nice. Next on the list, we have a Galen Designs. This is another of my favorites. They're all my favorite to one degree or another, but just look at how pretty this is. This is an acrylic whorl with jewelry findings, I believe, and a forged, well, I don't know if it's really forged or just shaped. The hook is hand done, but it's coated steel shaft. This thing has it's got a decent weight to it considering its size, but it's perfect for spinning threads, which I'm a thread spinner. This thing makes some solid threads, and it's just beautiful to look at, and also it's very sturdy. It's a treat, really. And that's Galen Designs on Etsy, which I have another of his spindles here, which I'll get to at the end. And this is a mini spindle from Spinnerosity. This is what I like to call a purse spindle. This is one of those little ones where you're not going to do a whole lot of yarn, and it's going to probably be pretty small, but it's great. It's like a fidget spinner that you just take some fiber, stick it in your purse along with this, and it just fits. It's really great. With this, I was able to learn how to spin some very fine yarns, and it was just fun. Okay, after a sip of eggnog and a breath, we're to continue on to the last 2, 3, 4, 5 spindles. 2 of them are technically the same type, but I'll count them as different spindles because they do spin a little bit differently. Forgive the camera adjustment. Anyway, next up is my absolute favorite. I am honest. This is my favorite to spin with, and that is the medieval type of spindle from Hershey Fiber Arts on Etsy. My first one came with a stone, I think this is an alabaster whorl. And I like to wedge a little bit of wool in there. She says in her listing you don't have to, but I had the whorl fall off once and it dinged up the end, so I do that for safety's sake. She includes rubber bands with the whorl, and I purchased mine in combination with the spindle stick. and which I think is really great. These spin very fast. They don't spin terribly long, but if you're going to spin thread, like what I like to spin and have on the spindle right now, these are absolutely perfect. These are also really just great on the go spindles, and the spindle and distaff setup is only so big if you use a hand distaff, which I do. I make my own distaffs. It's just wonderful for spinning. And here I have an undressed distaff for waiting for a spin to go on. Now, if you purchase the spindle sticks without a whorl, like she often does not have stone whorls in her shop, which I think you can request. Lycos Leather on Etsy sells these really cool bronze spindle whorls. And this thing spins super fast, but not very long, so it takes a little bit of adjustment to get to. But this is the coolest thing. They cast this from an actual artifact that was pewter. So, and it was reasonably priced. So that's definitely a plus. And next up on the list, I have a Bulgarian, or sometimes they're listed as a Russian spindle. These look like they're hand turned or hand carved and paint sort of stained with colors. This is just really, you can tell by the notch here, which I dinged up a little bit, and the end that, they were carved with a knife. They're just the coolest things. This is one of 3 that I have, and they're very, very light. I also have the distaff that goes along with these that has the red and blue and other colors. It was hand painted. These are spindles that are used with the grass technique. So like you twiddle it with your fingers like this. Mostly in conjunction with a distaff full of fiber. From the pictures I've seen, these things will get loaded with yarn when in the times that people use these. Sometimes they'll have whorls on them. Another one of my spindles has markings like it did have a whorl. They were like big donut shaped whorls that were just like jammed on. And I'm interested to see how these spin with a whorl on them. They're very easy to use if you're learning a grasped spinning technique, which it means grasped spinning means that the spindle never leaves your hand, unlike in drop spinning. It allows you to have a lot more control over the spinning process, but I have not quite mastered it yet. It's rather fun though. It's quite a workout for your fingers. And now for the last 3. Oh my gosh, how I'm not out of breath is amazing. This one has to be the most expensive in my collection, but it was worth every freaking penny. This is a Russian spindle from Mingo Ashao on Etsy. Yes, I buy all my spindles from Etsy, mostly. And it is turned from 2 different kinds of wood fused together, done with wood burning artwork of grapevines, and tipped with a handmade glass tip. The spindles that they make are absolutely gorgeous. They are $90, but they're worth it, I think. Now, this one came with, I don't know if all of them come with this, but I think they do, its own glass bowl, which they also made. And this thing spins forever on this glass bowl. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's fun to watch. I have yet to master this, but it is a joy and just beautiful to look at. The colors in the tip are just mesmerizing. teal, gold, sparkly, and purple, which is my favorite color. And yeah, for the handmade glass bowl, it's very pretty. This is definitely a show stealer of a spindle. And if you can learn how to spin on it successfully, then congratulations. I am still mastering that skill. And last but not leastly, the two Tackleys. These are, a Tackley is an India spindle. This one is your typical Tackley here. It's got a hook on the end with this little tip, and it comes down to a very sharp point. This is actually fairly sharp, and it's got a heavy metal whorl. And this is typically used for spinning cotton. Mine came with this nifty little wooden bowl. And, but I love to use this to spin baby doll and other, it keeps falling over. Maybe I should stop spinning that. Okay. I love spinning baby doll and springy elastic wools like that. With that, I'm able to achieve a basically spiderweb thin, yet still textured yarn that's really fun for knitting or weaving. Usually I'll do a 2-ply, sometimes I'll just chain ply it, and end up with a bunch of little skeins of yarn. It is, but if you're looking to start spinning cotton or something, this really is a good option. Also, it's not too badly priced, or at least wasn't. And most of the kits you find come with some starter cotton. It spins super fast, and it won't spin if you try to spin too thick on it. So, and the lastly but not leastly, I know I've already said that, this is the Galen design Tackley. It's got crystals of all these rainbow colors. It's got a purple shaft on it. You can actually choose the color of the shaft on most of his spindles, except for like the timepiece ones that are like one-offs. This, I chose to list it differently because it's it has a different weight to it. The Tackley is definitely a lot heavier. Sorry. It's definitely a lot heavier. And the Galen design one is longer. If you can see, it's about an inch longer. But it is, with this I successfully spun silk thread. So that's another thing you can spin on these is silk. It spins very fast, not too, well, at least not on this, not too long. Let's see. Actually, it spins for a very long time. But it feels a little bit different than the Tackley. The Tackley's very heavy. It's a workhorse, the Tackley is. But the Galen design one is just fun. So, as you can see, it spins and it looks really pretty. So, yeah, that is my 12 Spindles of Christmas. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit like, comment, if you have something to say. I appreciate all comments. If you want to see future videos, please hit that subscribe button and ding the bell so that you get notified when I upload new videos, which I'll try to do fairly often. I have lots to say and lots I want to share and hopefully teach. Anyway, have a great day, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year.